I'm out here in nature, guys. So you're going to hear a lot of different things. You're going to hear roosters. You're going to hear dogs. You're going to hear the cows. You're going to hear the sounds of nature. In Japan, broken objects are often repaired with gold. There's an actual word for it. It's called kintsugi. It's through the repairing that the object is more beautiful for having been broken. It's a beautiful metaphor for embracing our flaws and imperfections. The flaw is seen as a unique piece of the object's history, which ultimately enhances its beauty. So when we hold the object up into the light or leave the object for everyone to see, it essentially becomes alive again, not in spite of what may have caused the cracks, but because of what the cracks have transformed it into. What if I told you that your biggest weaknesses, flaws, and obstacles could be your greatest strengths? What if I told you that your biggest weaknesses, flaws, and obstacles could be your greatest strengths? And what if I said that the same things that are holding you back are actually helping you to expand and explore more of who you truly are as a human being? What does it mean to be human? The mere reasons that exist is what we often either take for granted or try to just shun away, like we don't want to be bothered with it. But being human means to be vulnerable, to feel, to connect, to grow, to explore, to be in its fullest existence. Welcome to the Monday Message. My name is Francis. These are just bite-sized nuggets to help you to think deeper and hopefully to inspire you to take some sort of action towards your desired life. I was 17 years old when I had my son. And at the time, I was living with my grandmother and, Haitian household, Caribbean households. There was no sit-down conversation about motherhood, what to expect, any of those things, emotionally, physically. I was just sort of just going in this without any sort of context or support in that aspect. And I remember as my belly started to grow and started to stretch, it started to become really, really itchy. And I just was scratching it all of the time. And what happens when you're pregnant and your belly starts to grow, when you scratch your belly, it actually creates stretch marks, which I did not know that at the time. And so for a number of years, I was really embarrassed by the stretch marks. And it took me some time to really get comfortable with that part of my body. And I started thinking, Francis, you birthed a baby. You had this human inside of you. And so these scars of mine really tell a story, beautiful story. So me trying to ignore that part of my body, that part of my story, was just me ignoring and not really connecting to that part of who I was, who I am along that journey of my life. And when we do that, we really separate ourselves from who we are. We really begin to prevent ourselves from embracing all aspects of ourselves. And in that moment, that was an experience that really transformed my life. A lot of us have moments in our lives that were incredibly transformative, yet there's still some hesitancy in embracing all of who we are. And maybe what happened to us was terrible. I've heard all kinds of stories working in the field that I have for so long. But kintsugi reminds us that by taking something that we believe to be broken and making it whole again with gold is really about repairing the past and embracing imperfections. Instead of hiding them away or trying to pretend that they don't exist, it's really about taking something that has been wounded and making it beautiful again. It's a reminder that life is not always perfect and never will be. So when we hold up our scars and wounds into the light, they become a part of our story. And when we show them off to the world, they give others permission to share their own stories in return. And it's not about parading it, but it's finding that commonality with each other. And these wounds and these scars and the things that happen to us really show that we have lived a full life, whether in some situations where we've taken risks and got wounded, or whether we faced our fears head on, that we've been brave enough with our hearts fully open and love deeply so that others may experience this sort of joy. And it could be this exchange of joy. And often we find ourselves becoming more vulnerable so that others may feel safe with us. So there's risks to all of this that can potentially create more wounding and scarring into our lives, but it's also what creates this range of life. It makes life that more colorful, having had those sort of experiences. And it shows us our expansion. It shows our bandwidth of our possibilities of being human and spirit. And the more that we do this, the more that the people around us can embrace these imperfections so that they're not walking around feeling shame about them. And so through this whole process, through this whole wounding, it's really about honoring our souls to live authentically, but lastly, and most importantly, they show that through all our pain and suffering, grace has found its way into our hearts, transforming what once was a wound into something beautiful. So as you go about and you look at all the things that's happened to you in your life, physically, emotionally, on all those levels, remember that there is beauty in that. And our job is to really find the beauty. And it can be very hard for some of us, especially when it's really terrible and traumatic at the time. But how can we move past that? And that's the goal. I hope this Monday message resonated with you and help you to sort of reframe what it means to carry the wounds and the scars and all the flaws and imperfections in our lives. And definitely subscribe, share, and share it with somebody that you love. And let me know in the comments below, what is something that once was a wound that you have embraced in all of its beauty. See you on the other side of change.